witnessing it all firsthand and up close. Govan, there's very little doubt that this event is over at this point. There's not going to be a May Day rally that takes place from beginning to end very successfully. What we are seeing now, I suppose, is just the workers in a way asserting their authority to say, not only did we stop this event, but we are actually going to linger around and take ownership of the political space that has opened up through what has transpired in the last hour and a half.
It has indeed, and some of the workers are still here. Most of them have left, but exactly why this happened and what Cosatu will do with it, some of the questions we hope to answer right now. With me is Mr. Soli Petwe, is the Deputy General Secretary of Cosatu. Mr. Petwe, what happened there?
Well, it is unfortunately that workers disrupted their own rally. This is not the ANC rally, it's not the government rally, it's a Cosatu workers rally. And even though that the issues that workers are raising are very genuine issues, which at some stage, particularly for the issue of the non-implementation of the Resolution 18, Cosatu has been engaged in government and we are still engaging. You yourself, you know this matter was in court, in Constitutional Court. Unfortunately, the Constitutional Court ruled in favor of government.
So it's clear now that the workers are not happy with Cosatu's intervention. And you said this is their own rally that they've disrupted. When Zingiswa Losi, the president of Cosatu, went to speak to the crew of workers there, some of them chased her away as well. It seems like Cosatu's leadership has lost the confidence of its members.
It's not. Cosatu is not the leadership. Cosatu has been intervening. Those issues, we're getting them today in freely, and that's why we're saying we have raised them. You were in our press conference. We did raise those issues. The unfortunate part is that the attitude of the employer at Sibanye, in particular the CEO, is very rough. It's got an attitude against workers, and that's one of the issues that we've got to engage with them. And this May Day was going to consolidate workers to be militant. Those issues that we've raised in our speech, you heard the president raising the issues of the attack on the collective bargaining, the attitude of the Sibanye, and those issues of job losses, the retrenchment that is taking place, including corruption.
So if Cosatu workers or Cosatu members still have confidence in the leadership, then why did they disrupt the rally?
Well, I don't know. It's about that they are not happy. They are not happy.
With who?
They are not happy about government that is led by the ANC. They are not happy about employers. So they felt that they must come here and raise these issues in front of everybody. Unfortunately, as I said, they disrupted their own rally.
And Cosatu workers or Cosatu members of the affiliates here also booing the president, saying that they don't want him, the president, when he was on the president of the Republic, Cyril Ramaphosa, when he was on the stage. And yet Cosatu's endorsement of the president remains intact. How is this going to influence how Cosatu engages with the ANC?
Well, we'll engage separately. We'll go to the Central Executive Committee of Cosatu and engage about taking the matter forward.
So what do you have
That time we did endorse the president, but workers themselves, it's them who said Cyril must be the president. It's not the leadership of Cosatu, and that therefore I'm saying what has happened and say they put them is the issue that the Cosatu Central Executive Committee will have to talk about them. This assessment of the disruption there would be done at that level.
What do you have to say about the fact that you couldn't finish your May Day rally?
I said it's unfortunately we could not finish our May rally and disrupted by their own members of Cosatu. Therefore, it's something that it was beyond our control.
It seems like you're acknowledging you don't have control of your members.
No, we don't. We don't say we don't have a control. We are saying unfortunately this situation has been prompted by issues. The morale of workers that is happening is down at the level of the workplace. So therefore, that's why I'm saying it's something that we're going to engage and find a way how do we then move forward. Workers still have a trust to Cosatu. Otherwise, they would have not come here. They would have said, we are not coming there, full stop.
Finally then, Mr. Petwe, any action will be taken against these workers who disrupted the rally?
No action will be taken against workers. It's their right to raise their issues, and that's why I'm saying these issues that they are raising are very important. It requires us as workers of leadership of the workers, jointly with the affiliates, we engage and say how do we take them forward.
Can you concede then surely there must have been miscommunication or not an adequate level of leadership that has allowed the situation to get to this level?
What do you want me to say? To agree?
Can you agree that...
I can't agree to that. I can't agree to that the leadership of Cosatu was there, has been mobilizing the workers. That's what I'm saying. If these workers were disrespecting the leadership of Cosatu, they would have not get into the bus from where they are and come here.
And you had no idea that they planned to do this when you were mobilizing?
No idea. If we had an idea, we would have dealt with the matter. We had no idea.
All right, thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you so much. That's Solly Petwe, surprised by what has happened here. Tula Sizwe, saying that they didn't anticipate this would happen. And here are some of these workers that we spoke to earlier. They were listening to that as well. You can come closer, sir. Just tell me what you thought there of what Mr. Petwe said.
He said he's not surprised for what has happened, just because he's agree to the Sibanye CEO, Neil Froman, when he said there is no leadership in South Africa. So it's just a clear indication that he did agree that there is no leadership.
Do you still have confidence in the leaders of Cosatu?
Not at all. Not at all.
Another decisive answer there. Okay, Tula Sizwe, well, there's still some action here at the stadium. Just a few workers who are staying behind just to hear what the leadership is saying. Others have already left, but the dissatisfaction among the workers remains here, and these are all members of Cosatu. In terms of the officials and the leadership, it looks like a handful of ANC members remain behind, maybe one or two ANC leaders. I think I see Obed Bapela off in the distance. We'll try to speak to him about what's happened to the ANC president. And as you said, not without precedent for an ANC president to be booed at a May Day rally, but not being able to hold the rally because of the disruptions is something else. It's back to you.
So just to recap then, Govan, firstly, on a slightly lighter note, did I hear correctly when President Ramaphosa took to the stage when he was trying to calm those crowds and was chanting Viva Cosatu, Viva NUM, did he really, or did I mishear this, did he say Viva AMCU?
He did indeed say Viva AMCU. You heard it correctly. He's never said it before. It's the first time he's done so. President may have thought that in the audience were a majority of AMCU members, but of course those that were booing him were mostly Nahau members, Satu members, SAMU members, who were unhappy with the government not paying the 2030 of the 2018 increase. But the reason why he would say Viva AMCU for the first time would be because the NUM and AMCU are on strike together at Sibanye, and they've warmed up relations between the two unions. So it's another first for today, and we could say that things didn't go as expected here in Rustenburg, and that would only be the half of it.
And Govan, you rightly allude to that ongoing strike, mainly at Harmony Gold, which is part of Sibanye. The demand there being about 1,000 rand, and as the company itself offering about 700 rand per month for the lowest paid category of workers over a 3-year period. Let me quote here from Daily Maverick, from the reporting of Ed Stoddard, what the CEO of Sibanye Stillwater said recently. And I quote here, quote unquote, "There is lots of confusion in organized labor about profitability of businesses. Our strike in gold is not about gold wages. It's really about setting the scene for what might take place in PGMs, PGMs being platinum group metals. We will not tolerate an increase which is much above inflation," through the reporting there of Ed Stoddard in Daily Maverick, the CEO of Sibanye, Neil Froneman, quoted just about a week or 2-3 weeks ago, that reporting coming through. So that's the backdrop for what those workers from the Kloof mine branch of the NUM were demanding. And then, of course, it was compounded, Govan, was it not, by the demands of the public sector workers. Just give me a sense of the profile of the public sector component of this grievance.
So the public sector component's grievance here is not only about a Labour Appeals Court decision that found the government doesn't have to pay the 3rd-year increase of that 2018 agreement. It's also centered around the way the negotiations are going currently. Their insistence on a 1-year deal, the government pushing for a 3-year deal, but generally an erosion of trust between the public sector and the ANC, particularly when it comes to collective bargaining, something that the public sector unions say is under attack from the ANC ANC government. So we know that the public sector unions believe that former Minister Tito Mboweni had orchestrated the government not paying the third year of the 2018 increase, and they had hoped that the new minister, Inokorongwana, was going to follow through and reverse that decision and pay it. The fact that they haven't has upset the public sector union workers even more, especially as they endorsed the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, to continue with to continue to lead the ANC into the elections and campaign for it just ahead of the elections, anticipating that the ANC would change its mind and then award them the third year increase. I have another guest here. He's the former spokesperson of the Young Communist League, Ndlozi Ntwana. Thank you so much for your time, Ndlozi. So you were attending this as a resident, also as a former worker, former Young Communist League spokesperson. Just tell me what you make of what the workers did here.
Well, at least I'm also a former spokesperson of two trade unions. And what we saw here today is we cannot beat around the bush about the issue. It's a declaration of a motion of no confidence on the alliance, especially the African National Congress, by the working class here. Listen, I heard you in your analysis now, just saying that workers believe that former Minister Tito Mboweni is the one that orchestrated this. In fact, I think it's beyond that. Workers have now come to terms with the fact that the sixth administration is not what it actually should be, and it's not reflecting of the ANC policies and the collective agreements of the alliance. But actually the sixth administration is a neoliberal court pushing a different agenda apart from that one of the collective agreements of the alliance. I can make many examples.
And of course the urgency of the reconfiguration of the alliance has been pointed to a number of times. Just tell me quickly, you were in the stands when the workers were still calm, listening to watching the president address the Kloof NUM mine workers, but then there seemed to be a surge of workers coming to the front. What happened there? What was that like?
Well, I think the president provoked by the way, the president took time before he could come and address these workers. In fact, it's Comrade Zungiswalos that came to address the workers, and the workers demanded the president to come here. And by the way, you could see this strange relationship, and we must start speaking about it. It's not a secret. When the president was there, workers were actually rebelling against the Cosatu president herself, if you remember, and the president defended Comrade Zungiswalos. Comrade Zungiswalos comes to address the media now and speaks about the ANC being the vanguard of the workers that they've been appealing. The ANC can never be the vanguard of the workers. It is the South African Communist Party that is the vanguard of the working class. But because of a strange hand from the African National Congress, which is playing a role in Cosatu, you are now starting to have that rift, and the balance of forces are very clear in terms of what is happening. What you saw here is not an ordinary rebellion, and it's not just about wages, by the way. It is a collect. That is why you saw even other trade unions coming here. And by the way, also young people are here. If you remember, it is the sixth administration that butchered the spending on NSFAS and many other issues. What you are seeing here is what we will find in society. The society is starting to lose confidence on the ANC, and it's very clear now that the ANC is not building a developmental state as per the agenda of the African National Congress.
All right, thank you so much. That's just some of the people that are around here. We'll try to speak to as many as possible. It looks like here's a few other workers that we want to speak to. Sir, you've been in attendance the whole day. Just tell us what you think of what happened here. You'll allow him to speak. Yeah. What do you think about what happened here?
I think the only thing was happening here, the people is not happy, is not celebrating a one-May day because of the government.
You can speak your language, sir. Because
the government is not helping us, especially on the mine private company. The mine government has made the total. Apply for, if I can make an example, apply for a Cartonville since it's last year. Since I got last year, for March, until today, sikhotelwa just because ukuthi sichuze umbutho wethu esiwuthandayo into obusebenzele. Ikhampani ethi nombutho wayo ekuthiwa i-Blind for Workers Union ayifuni umbutho othandwa ngabasebenzi. Sensaqodwa sambiza ugwade Mandashe sani makeze ngaphambili akasicace la mine ayilandeli nomthetho weSouth Africa, akuna proven fund, akuna benefit, akuna service. Ayibaqasha abantu abangomama, iqasha abantu bangaphandle, abantu bepassport, abantu belizwe abavotayo ayibaqasha. Imajority nangoku abasebenza abaphakela mine is only abantu bepassport. It's very few abantu balapha eSouth Africa abavotayo.
And then that of course, is one of the issues that's come up here, the unhappiness with the Blyvoor situation. We were at Blyvoor a few months ago reporting on that strike there, and the workers were very unhappy, not only about the representativity, number of South Africans that are there, but also about the way in which a new union had sprung up and seemed to be contesting the National Union of Mineworkers in that area. We'll keep moving around here. Just take a look at the stadium now. It's a far cry from what it was earlier. You see that most of the stands are now deserted, and there don't appear to be any more people here that are anticipating any sort of rally from happening. But we do have some more members of SAMU here to speak to us. Sir, thank you so much for your time. Just tell me your name and where you work.
Well, thank you very much, and greetings to the viewers of eNCA. In fact, let me correct you. I'm a member of Cosatu in good standing, and I'm a leader of Cosatu Young Workers Forum in Gauteng.
So you're a teacher?
I'm a teacher, I'm an educator.
Thank you. So we saw the president being booed here by public sector workers that after he addressed the NUM workers. Were you in that crowd? Tell me what happened there.
We're in the crowd of NUM because we're workers. NUM and AMCU have been striking for more than 3 months, and their negotiations are very clear.
Yes, of course, they want a 1,000 Rand increase, and we know the reasons for the strike. Just tell me, if you were in the crowd as they approached the stage, what happened there?
We went to run this process, this May Day rally ungovernable because we are workers. We did not cause chaos. I get we're happy as workers that he must not speak, Zingiswa and the President Cyril must not speak, because workers are frustrated. We have not been getting increments. In fact, under Cosatu has been far worse under Mukwena. Workers have been far worse under Zingiswa. In fact, she did not want to be president of Cosatu. She was running to be DSG of the ANC. When she lost, he came to be the president of Cosatu. That is why she has never led a strike under Cosatu. Ask yourself one thing. Why was this stadium not full? Workers are angry. Ask yourself, why was the ANC losing elections in 2019? Because workers did not go out and vote. 2024, if they don't implement Resolution 1 of 2018 of increment of medical subsidy, of housing subsidy, the same will happen and it will be far worse.
And Cosatu has to go to a conference as well. What do you think is going to happen there?
Cosatu is going under the conference to elect the new leadership. I think it's in September. We're very clear. Look, Zingiswa is not going to come back because she has not done anything for workers. In fact, workers are far worse under Zingiswa laws. What we are saying...
Okay, thank you so much. So you've made your point, and I see here is the branch secretary of the NUM's Kloof branch. We spoke to him a little bit earlier. Mr. Sipho, thank you for your time. When we were in the stands, you seemed pretty hopeful that the president would address some of your concerns. Things really didn't go as you thought they would.
Yeah. No, apparently, after he decided to come to us as NUM and Sibanye Stillwater workers, we said it's fine because he listened to us, and we clearly knew that he was not going to talk to Sibanye today, right now. So we understood as NUM. That's why you saw our members being calm, sitting down, because, I mean, the chaos that you saw was not caused by NUM members. We actually listened.
All right. And why do you think he got booed?
I mean, politics is politics, you know. And I think that the latter speaker from, is it Sam or what? They are correct that most of us as affiliates, we are not happy, you know. That's why we cannot say we are free. So even we are not happy with ANC, like we say, because they've been quiet. They only talk when they see us. That's our problem.
Thank you so much. It's the branch secretary of the NUM's Kloof branch in Carltonville. And we're in Rustenburg right now, but those workers that initially started the protest came all the way from Kloof. Here you see in picture now Mr. Obed Bapela. He's a member of the ANC's National Executive Committee. Mr. Bapela, thank you so much for your time, Deputy Minister. Let's just begin with the president being booed. Not the first ANC president to get booed at a Cosatu rally, but it does send a message about the ANC. What's your response?
Well, it is a setback of what had happened, and that the workers ended up disrupting their own rally on their own day, on Workers' Day. However, the issues that the workers have raised are valid, and they are quite strong and very, very substantive. I mean, the Resolution 1 of 2018 has provoked anger within the public sector, and then also asking why the ANC is allowing it to go to courts, and yet government of the ANC
where the workers have voted into office must then be engaging and implementing on this one. And I think the president took it very heavily that this matter will then be engaged once more. The union.
But Minister Papela, the ministers that took that decision to the Labour Appeals Court are themselves members of the ANC NEC, and you yourself are a member of the ANC NEC, and the ANC did not tell the government to withdraw its appeal that would have led to them paying the 30 of the 2018 increase. So isn't that doublespeak?
Well, it's not doublespeak because, I mean, the issues of the courts, there are issues that of material issues that the government has identified, which were signed in the agreements, because some of the agreement issues are not implementable immediately now because of the budget issues.
But when we are speaking about...
However, you are right that instead of that, the ANC must have gone back to the bargaining chamber to go and say, here it is. But they did go to the bargaining chamber. And at the bargaining chamber, unfortunately, there were disagreements. And then walkouts, unfortunately, that had happened. And then that is why the Labour Court. But I think the president, having seen how the issues of the people and the anger and the impatience that the people have, this incident happens here at the workers' rally. It will happen one day in communities where a lot of commitments are not being implemented on the ground, on service delivery. And when people start chanting and disrupting meetings, ANC must not be shocked, and it's because our implementation record is not as strong. There's not much evidence that we can then show. While progress has been made, but a lot of challenges are on the ground. So we just have to go back to the people and say, where are things, what is happening, so that they can then learn. But their patience is running very, very thin.
It is running thin, and this constituency has been one the ANC could always rely on, not only during election times, but also to contribute to the ANC's discussion papers, going into conferences. And now it appears that the workers have little confidence in the Cosatu leadership, and even less in the ANC.
Well, look here, obviously the alliance is under attack by the members of its own members. The sooner we go into the boardrooms to go and engage on the pertinent issues that affect them as they've raised them here and that communities will be raising later, the sooner we do so, the better, so that people can trust us again. They can also then begin to have confidence and faith in the leadership of the alliance, the ANC, Cosatu, and SSCP. Definitely, we have to move with speed. Otherwise, as you have seen, the ANC has launched the Litsema in the Free State. Part of the Litsema is to go and accelerate service delivery on the ground. But then the workers' issues, some of them are caught up in those negotiations table, but we need to really move with speed to really resolve them.
The ANC government and the ANC NEC has championed the pragmatic response to economic challenges over the last 3 years, implementing solutions that would fit the budget, such as not paying that third-year increase. And these workers, in their demands, are calling for more direct intervention in the state. In fact, they called on the president to call the CEO of a mining company to speak to him about their wage increase. So they're calling for more interventionist kind of state. Is that something the ANC can deliver to them?
Well, we'll have to do our best, as the president promised the NUM workers that he will take the matter to the Sibanye leadership, including the management, that 1,000 rand is the demand. Can they really meet the workers halfway? But obviously, intervention in state also get governed by the laws of the country, that whatever you do must be within the law. So if workers says that their representatives are not doing well, they are asking the president of the ANC to go and help. Let it be so that government can say, can we satisfy the needs of the workers? But obviously, we have 1 million members of the public sector that are also not happy because the implementation of Resolution 1, 2018 has not happened. And we need really to go into the political alliance committee and then really say, what is it that we then come back with as soon as is possible, so that the next May Day becomes a better May Day where workers will celebrate their achievements.
Speaking about the public sector unions, there's a double indictment here that the ANC leadership has been booed, but also the fact that the people that are booing the ANC leadership are employees of government, mostly public sector unions. So you're not servicing them on the political front or as the state. What do you have to say about that?
Well, look, a majority of them are also members of the ANC. I saw a lot of them wearing colors of the ANC, in addition to the red shirts of their unions. It therefore means that the ANC, in its organizational way and the way in response to the issues, it must go closer to the workers, it must go closer to the communities, it must go closer to unemployed young people who can't even get jobs now. But the economy is struggling, as you said, and therefore there's a lot that people are demanding and expecting.
Do you think this is a crisis, what happened here today?
Well, look here, I will then say it's a setback, which as leaders we can then go back, resolve and come back to the workers, and then particularly the public sector and other unions that are in the private sector around the issues of now how do we then begin to engage and then resolve on the number of issues that we are raising. Yes, it is a setback for the leadership of the ANC and the alliance.
Finally then, Deputy Minister, there's also another issue which loomed large over here. Workers were looking forward to hearing from the President about the Marikana issue. It was brought back to Rustenburg, intentionally so by the Cosatu leadership, because they wanted to repair the relationship he may have broken with the Marikana people. Now that hasn't happened. It's another setback. Will we see him returning here to Rustenburg or to Marikana, perhaps brought by the ANC?
It was raised earlier in our private meeting with the President by Cosatu itself, where they were briefing the President about the gathering today, that the Marikana issue must come back on the agenda. And the President made a commitment that he will be back soon in the Northwest, particularly in Rustenburg, to come and deal with some of those issues.
Thank you so much. That's Deputy Minister Obed Bapela. He's a member of the ANC's NEC, speaking to us here just after the May Day rally of Cosatu was disrupted. It won't continue. Zingiswa Losi, the president of Cosatu, delivered her speech, but shortly after that they had to call time on this rally as workers rushed to the stage, booing South African president and also booing the Cosatu president after they tried to calm them down. Workers here unhappy with the strike at Sibanye over 1,000 Rand wage increase demand. They're also unhappy with the non-payment of the 2018 third year of the agreement, which would have been an increase for them. They expected to get back pay. That's not happening. And it looks like things are wrapping up here at the Royal Bafokeng Stadium. I think there may be one other worker here who wants to talk to us and just say a few words. Looks like he's going to have the last say. Sir, you were also part of the crowd when the president came to address and you saw the booing of the president. What did you think?
Yes, I'm also the part of the crowd, but I don't want to talk about the Sibanye. I want to talk about the place where we're staying now at Smash Block. Smash Block, there's a problem around Smash Block. There's a lot of mine. The first one is Plantino, Tumela, and Swartlep, and what we call all those mines. Most of the mines, there's scammers. They are all stealing jobs. And we are.
All right. So what did the NUM leadership say when you raised this issue with them?
Sorry?
What did the leadership of the union say when you told them about this?
We never told them because our chairperson is busy working on about all these issues. But however, he's working with the councillor and even the street committee members and other people to fight all this corruption. So what we want is that President must hear our problems and then he help us about this problem. Why? Because of they are selling jobs by 15,000, 17,000, and we don't have that man as we are unemployment currently.
Of course, those are just some of the issues. Thank you so much, sir. We do appreciate that. Those are some of the issues. Everyone here hoping to get an audience at least with the president or his entourage, and just take one more look at this Tula Sizwe. It really has emptied out. The last of the workers now leaving this area, and it doesn't look like any Cosatu officials remain behind. Maybe a few marshals and some police officers, but Cosatu has left this stadium, and now there are only a few workers left here who would be leaving pretty soon as well. It's back to you for now, Tula Sizwe.
Fantastic reporting there, live reporting by eNCA's Govan Whittles from the stadium there at the Royal Bafokeng Stadium in Rustenburg on a day when really the clouds of what seems to be a perfect political storm have come together in another interesting way within the tripartite alliance. Not only does the ANC have to deal with the many manifestations of its own problems and crises, but now even at the tripartite alliance level, it would seem that there's a lot to deal with in a year when Cosatu is scheduled to hold 9 provincial congresses, building up to its 2023 National Congress. But importantly, in a year when the SACP itself is due for a Congress, as well as the ANC, as we know, at the end of the year set to elect new leadership at its national conference. The visuals we are seeing now are from earlier on, the disgruntlement of those workers, many of them from the Kluof branch of the NUM, voicing their grievances about the demands that they are making against the company Sibanye, which of course is said to have been one of the main beneficiaries of what has been termed the commodities boom that we saw last year. Remember the story we were talking about, how the commodities boom helped the fiscus in terms of taxes that were collected. Well, the workers want their own as well, because they have contributed to how that was realized. From an editorial from Business Live from a few weeks ago, the figures quoted there saying that it posted, Sibanye that is, posted 33 billion rand in profit, and paid out about 14 billion rand in shareholder payouts. But importantly, the story that has been in the headlines recently is what was said to have been earned by Neil Froneman, who is the CEO of Sibanye, at about 300 million rand. Many of the workers who are there have had, sharp words for the leadership of Sibanye, and basically saying that, the inequality gap continues to grow. They are demanding 1,000 rand per month per worker as a form of increment on their salaries. Sibanye, on the other hand, is offering 700 rand per month, and as far as Sibanye is concerned, they believe that that is more than fair in this context, saying that they need to curb the expenses and, the above inflation increases, including increases coming through from Eskom, because you know that energy is a major input cost if you are in the space of mining, but also labor costs as well. So all of those being things that need to be kept in check for the future viability of the company. All right, that will do it for this hour. Extraordinary events playing out in the last 2 hours. I'm back with more for you at the top of 4 o'clock.